Okay, so for me, my barefoot journey started with earthing when my aunt introduced me to earthing. And little did I know it would become something far more greater than I thought, far more consuming than I thought. And it would be my biggest challenge and also my way back to my heart. And like I said, it all started with earthing and just understanding that our bodies have an electrical current and that they crave to be grounded to the ground, because the ground has a potential electro. I can't really explain it well. I should really get my facts straight with this, but look it up. Earthing is a real thing. We have an electrical current through our body, just like a wire that grounds to the earth, um, to, I guess, ground. We need to do the same thing with our electrical current running through our body to, I guess, the result would be better homeostasis within our body, better balance within our body. Anyways, that's how it started. And then that quickly transitioned into barefoot running, and into experimenting with barefoot shoes. And the inspiration came kind of way back when I saw the Vibram Five Fingers on one of my friends who was in the race back in like 2012, I would say. That's kind of when the Vibram Five Fingers were really popular. Um, I didn't jump on it at the time as a kid, and at the time when I was a kid, I was wearing crazy supportive shoes, orthotics. I had arch pain. I had probably plantar fasciitis. I had this reoccurring hip issue on my one side that was a big problem for me. Um, I went to physiotherapy for that problem all throughout my career, all the way up until high school. Kind of just got completely fed up with it because it prevented me from training. It prevented me from doing the mileage that I had to, and that led me to just not do it at all entirely. And it was a really fast group of kids that I was competing against on my track club, and seeing them succeed so much and seeing me lag behind so much was a big sort of confidence. Um, can't think of words today. It really diminished my confidence. There you go. And I quit. And so it wasn't until after I came back, rediscovered earthing, I took a break off. COVID really, because of COVID, I stopped going to school, came back home, and had to figure out what I wanted to do. And I went outside and I fasted for 3 days, and that fast led me down the road of, I really do want to connect with my body. And at the time, my goal was to become a running coach. And so that led me down to going back to the same club that I had run with. And so at this point, barefoot shoes are awesome. Normally, you would go through like a transition phase if you're someone like myself with my history with orthotics and supportive shoes. You would progressively lower the support, lower the amount of cushioning, get closer to the ground with your shoes, and then go barefoot. Or with a barefoot shoe, you would just go straight in, or at least that wasn't recommended. I just did that, because I knew that after reading, the information that was online, and particularly understanding that the best athletes in the world are those that grew up without shoes. They played soccer, or they ran, or they competed without footwear, without really good footwear at least. Um, and so I knew that, and I'd read a book, Born to Run. Born to Run was really inspiring to understand that there are these humans in the Mexico Badlands who are basically super athletes, but they're just a tribe of people. Can't pronounce the name at the moment, but they were beating all these, ultra marathon runners, and it was really crazy to read that about how all they're wearing is just a thin rubber sole, which is from a car tire, on the bottom of their feet, and they're running 100 kilometers no problem. So that was really inspiring to know that it's not just, you know, speed, where barefoot and more sensation is beneficial, but also longer distance. But just because, I knew that, just because I had the ambition to jump right into barefoot shoes, doesn't mean that my body would react the same way, and it didn't. Like, I ran into a lot of problems, a lot of injuries along the way, especially with demanding the not only going barefoot walking, but also barefoot running was very hard on my body. And then doing it at such a high level with my old track club was also very hard. And so I ran into a lot of problems and issues. And the biggest thing, though, and the thing that really stuck out for me was this level of awareness that I was adapting with my own body, developing, I should say. Understanding my form more, breaking it down, feeling more connection to the earth, and then vice versa myself like never before. And the type of sensation that you get when you go barefoot is not just the the immediate sensation that you feel on the bottom of your feet, like feeling the ground and feeling the rocks and feeling the grass. That sensation translates into you walking differently, translates into you running differently, striking the ground differently as you take off. It changes the angles of your joints, makes you more upright. So I was, learning all these different things, but what they describe in the barefoot books is that, you shouldn't go running with your barefoot shoes until you've got, a good amount of experience running with just your bare feet. The reason being is because your feet need to develop the calluses on the bottom of your feet in order to run barefoot. And the tendons need to also adapt as well. And when you take out that natural just need to go through that stage, I guess, of developing the calluses on the bottom of your feet, and you take that out and just do the barefoot shoes, you are telling your body, okay, now, don't use the tendons on the bottom of your feet. Use the muscles that you've been using to run all this time with the regular shoes. It just doesn't work that way. You're training your body to use the fascia network instead of using the muscular network to run and to synchronize better, not to necessarily just be stronger. Because you look at the most elite athletes in the world and they're not big. They're skinny, or sorry, I should say the most elite runners in the world. And they're normally very lean, very skinny, especially the longer distance runners. Like, their fascia networks are so synchronized to the point where they're using just that pure energy potential of that recoil effect, that elastic energy stored in their tendons, releasing off every step and every stride. Anyways, so the next sort of stage in my life was just a period of sort of depression, I would say, and staleness, because I pushed myself so hard with barefoot shoes and was kind of discouraged, and also still thinking that after I got better, I could go straight away back into running, and I could do the same mileage and apply the same structure and the same level of training modalities as I had when I was wearing barefoot shoes and when I was with the track club. It wasn't until I discovered yoga that I realized that there's a different way. There's a holistic way. There's a slow but steady way. There's the tortoise way, I should say. And then there's the hare way, right? The hare way was like the tortoise and the hare. That's the reference I'm making. The hare way was, going with the huskies, and the tortoise way was doing it my own way. And I really realized at this point in my journey, as I discovered yoga, that I can heal my body myself. And I that was very empowering. I just sort of went down that rabbit hole of stretching and rolling and understanding my body more. And when I say understanding my body more, I mean not necessarily reading up on information about my body, like my feet, um, or reading up on the latest shoe or different training modalities of how I could train the body. It was me understanding my body more, me understanding the feelings, the sensations within my body. And if you ever done yoga before, you'll understand that the mentality, the approach to yoga, the, that the approach that yoga has to addressing the body is different than anything else. It's through mindfulness and through this meditative state that we enter that we're able to hold on to poses more. And when we hold on to poses for longer, we just have this state, we understand that there's so much more sensation that happens within our body. And I started realizing that that's these sensations that I'm hearing, it's all information, it's all data, it's all potential for me to understand myself more. And so then I just started experimenting. I started to understand that I can be my own healer. I'm the best doctor for myself. And I understood at that point that different environments on the bottom of your feet and also for your body in general were more conducive to allowing myself to get more stimulation and therefore feel the ground more and heal myself more. So the example being inside on a very flat surface being versus being outside in the forest with your bare feet, are you going to feel more in the forest versus in the house? Yeah, completely. I started understanding that and understanding that different objects within the natural world, like stumps and trees and the varying degrees with the elevation of the ground, sort of affect how you move, and they provide you with the opportunity to move more. But when we put on these shoes, we're not changing really the surfaces that we walk on because the shoes are so cushioned. We don't have any contact with the ground neurologically. We can't feel the ground as well as if we were just wearing our barefoot, just wearing our just having our our barefoot feet on the ground. There's thousands of nerves on the bottom of our feet, and each one of them contributes to giving your mind and giving your body like an instantaneous picture, an idea of what the terrain is on the bottom of your feet. And the analogy I always, give people is, would you ever, do work with your hands with gloves on? Would you ever like, you know, use do like a craft, do sewing with gloves on? Would you ever want to really do that? No, like because You feel the lack of sensation when you put gloves on, on your hands. You feel the lack of sensation. And so it's the same thing with our feet. Like, our feet are very similar to our hands in that sense. Um, and so that was one of the big things at that time that I kind of came to understand, um, both in deepening my level of awareness and also understanding that there's a different way. There's a way to heal myself that will lead me down the road, if I do heal myself, to being able to achieve greater results, um, like being able to run with ease, or run faster, or move better, or swim better, anything you name. I was sort of discovering that there's this level of self-healing that you can do that's endless. You can become the master of your own body, and you're always adding an extra layer on top of that, like an onion, adding a layer after layer of understanding. And then, sort of what I've been working on now, and what I've come to understand recently, is more of this fascia perspective. And I shouldn't take credit to understanding this, because there is a particular person. It's Dr. I believe it's Dr. Chong. If you look up hyper arch method, he's the guy who's pioneering this space, and he's really discovering the fascial connections between the feet all the way up to your glutes and your core, and then your hands, how they're connected to your lats. It's very related to high performance athletes. And those are the people that he's working on. And so I'm understanding more of that now, I would say. More of this perspective that it's not just now the feet, it's also the hands, and it's also just this whole full body holistic sort of perspective. Um, but I will say, and this is another sort of point, is that there's always times where, like, I might still injure myself in the forest, or I might still have to wear barefoot shoes, or just shoes in general. Most of the time I'm not wearing shoes if I can, because I want that sensation, I want that stimulation, I want to deepen that level of awareness. And I would say that I feel the effects of shoes more, because for so long now I've gone the other direction. It's been a couple of years now that I've completely taken a whole 180 on my situation with my footwear, and I feel the effects. I feel stronger. I feel more balanced. I feel like the imbalances I was experiencing before aren't there anymore. The old injury, it appears now and again, my hip flexor, but I know how to deal with it. I know how to manage it myself, and that's the greatest thing, is knowing that it's not like a fix to the problem. The problem won't go away. That's a little frustrating, but it gives you so much confidence to know, having gone through these experiences and gone through this journey, to know that there's a way to heal yourself. Like, you've gone through this before. Just like you kind of always remember to ride a bike. Like, you've done this before. Your shoulder's hurting. Oh well, you've fixed it before. Why is it hurting now? And because I guess I took that perspective to say, no, I'm going to deal with this myself and not necessarily go to a physiotherapist right away. Investing in taking the time to learn different modalities, but most importantly, listen to myself and develop that awareness. It's given me this ability to heal myself, and it's great when I put the barefoot shoes on. I'll experience some pain and I'll experience some tightness, but then like you just got to go back and do the thing that you did before, and instead of that pain being so so debilitating and so like, oh my god, like so shocking, I can't believe this is happening. You're like, oh, this is still sucky that this is happening. I wish I didn't have this pain. I wish I was just great all the time. um but you can always fix that, and it's also an opportunity to learn more about yourself. um yeah, so that's the point I wanted to make today with this video, and I hope that you enjoyed. Thank you very much. Namaste.